What if I told you that, like, the grammar rules you spent years meticulously memorizing in school are actually the exact reason you physically freeze up when a native speaker just says hello?
Right. It sounds completely backward, doesn't it?
It really does. I
Oh.
mean, welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. Today we are taking an absolute sledgehammer to traditional language learning. We're unpacking this radical, minimalist approach to achieving English fluency. It's based on this really popular source material known as the 99 sentences method.
Yeah, and it's definitely causing a stir.
Oh, totally. And I have to be completely honest with you right out of the gate here. I am highly skeptical of this. I mean, okay, let's unpack this. I am someone who finds deep, deep comfort in the structure of traditional grammar study.
You're a rule follower.
Oh, absolutely. Like, give me a color-coded vocabulary list or, hand me a massive chart of irregular verb conjugations, and I feel like I understand how the universe works. It just feels safe.
It's predictable. You put the work in, you get the result.
Right. Exactly. So, looking at this source material, the central premise immediately triggers all my internal alarm bells. The idea that you can bypass all that rigorous academic work and achieve true fluency with just, 99 specific sentences, it feels like an internet gimmick to me.
That skepticism makes complete sense. I mean, especially if you treat language like an academic subject, right? Like history or mathematics, where mastery is built on just accumulating massive amounts of data.
Yeah, building the database in your head.
Exactly. But what's fascinating here is that the source material comes at this from a completely different philosophical angle. The core argument is that those traditional methods, color-coded charts and rule books you find so comforting.
Hey, they got me through school.
Fair enough. But they are actually the very things creating a massive psychological and cognitive roadblock. They're actively training learners to translate in their heads.
Ah, the dreaded mental translation.
Yes. And that mental translation is the absolute birthplace of hesitation. According to this methodology, the true secret to fluency isn't about knowing more words at all. It is fundamentally about learning to think in English.
Okay, and that diagnosis right there connects so deeply to a universal frustration you have probably felt, if you've ever tried to learn a new language.
Oh, everyone goes through it.
Right. You spend years studying, you pass all the written exams, you know the difference between the past perfect and the present continuous.
On paper, you're a genius.
Exactly. But then you're standing in a coffee shop in front of a native speaker and you open your mouth to order something simple and absolutely nothing comes out.
Total paralysis.
Yeah. Your brain just goes completely blank. You're just standing there, hyper aware of the silence, worrying about making some foolish mistake, worrying about your accent, just terrified of being judged.
And that freeze response, I mean, it's practically universal among traditional learners. But to cure it, the source points out that we first have to properly diagnose what is actually happening in the brain during that awkward silence.
Right, because it's not just a blank brain, is it? It's doing too much.
Exactly. We tend to think we freeze because we lack vocabulary, but the text argues we freeze because of cognitive overload. It actually goes so far as to describe memorizing complex rules and thousands of isolated words as an outright waste of time.
Wow, waste of time. That is a highly provocative statement for all the English teachers out there.
Very provocative. But the underlying mechanics explain the why behind it. When you rely on grammar rules during a live, unscripted conversation, you're forcing your brain to do incredibly complex translation math on the fly.
Translation math. Okay, I love that phrase. Let's actually visualize how exhausting that is. I mean, it's like trying to build a car from scratch at a green light while all the cars behind you are just aggressively honking their horns.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right, because you hear a question in English. First, you have to decode the English into your native language. Then, you formulate your response in your native language. Next, you scramble through your mental dictionary to find the corresponding English vocabulary words.
And you aren't even done yet.
No. Finally, you try to apply that massive blueprint of grammar rules to put those words in the correct, acceptable order. It's exhausting just talking about it.
It really is. And by the time you've completed all that cognitive heavy lifting,
Yeah.
the conversation has already moved on. The person you're talking to is they're looking at their watch or pulling out their phone.
Yeah, you've lost them.
Totally. The delay might only be a few seconds, but in the economy of human conversation, a 3-second delay feels like an absolute eternity.
Oh, it's agonizing.
It signals hesitation, a lack of confidence, and it just makes the interaction awkward for both parties. And here's the kicker. Native English speakers don't do this.
Right.
In fact, most native speakers couldn't even explain their own grammar rules to you if you asked them to.
Oh, ask me what a dangling participle is. I have no idea.
Exactly. They don't use a sentence because they understand the syntactic structure. They use it simply because it sounds right.
Which means the traditional learner is actually working 10 times harder than the native speaker just to say the exact same thing.
Yes.
It's just too much RAM usage for the human brain to handle in real time. So how does the 99 sentences method attempt to shift this dynamic? Like, if we aren't building the car at the green light, what are we actually doing?
Well, we're stepping on the gas of a car that is already running. The method bypasses the translation math completely.
Okay.
By internalizing very specific prepackaged phrases, you train the brain to stop translating word by word. You aren't building a sentence from scratch anymore.
You're just grabbing the whole thing at once.
Exactly. You're pulling a complete, grammatically perfect thought off the shelf and handing it directly to the other person. It completely eliminates that terrifying gap of silence where the fear of speaking usually creeps in.
Okay, so I'm throwing out my giant grammar rule book, right? And I'm tossing my massive stack of vocabulary flashcards into the fire.
Goodbye, flashcards.
What exactly are these magical 99 sentences we're replacing them with? Because, I mean, if they're going to replace thousands of words, they have to be doing some incredibly heavy lifting.
Oh, they do. And that's why they are specifically curated to be high-frequency phrases. We are talking about the conversational tools you reach for every single day.
Right.
They aren't meant to help you debate philosophy or, discuss rocket science. They're meant to help you survive and navigate daily life.
Yeah, and looking at the examples provided in the source, it really is striking how perfectly they cover the daily grind. Logistics, basic emotions, immediate physical needs.
They're very practical.
Super practical. Let's look at one specific sentence they highlight. I am absolutely starving right now. What I find fascinating here is the nuance the source points out. It doesn't just mean, I am hungry.
Right, there's a difference.
It specifically communicates that you are extremely hungry and you need to eat immediately. If you were doing that translation math we talked about earlier, you might awkwardly construct something grammatically correct but incredibly unnatural.
Like what?
Like, my stomach has a big need for food at this time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is definitely grammatically correct, but it sounds so strange.
It sounds like an alien.
It does.
Yeah.
And that is the crucial difference between academic correctness and cultural authenticity. My stomach has a need for food uses perfectly valid words, but it sounds like a robot reading a manual.
Exactly.
I am absolutely starving right now is precisely how a native speaker flags that situation. It carries the emotional weight and the urgency baked right into the phrase.
Right, you don't have to add anything else to it.
And when you look at the social utility of these prepackaged phrases, it becomes even more apparent why this minimalist approach is so highly effective. Let's examine another one from the text. The phrase is, "It is really no big deal."
Oh, I love that one. It seems so simple, but it carries so much conversational weight.
It really does. The source specifically notes that this phrase is used when someone apologizes for a small mistake. Let's break down the psychology of that social interaction for a second.
Okay, set scene.
Imagine someone bumps into you in the hallway, right? Or a colleague forgets to copy you on a minor email, and they apologize. In that fleeting moment, the social friction is extremely high.
Oh yeah, everyone feels a little tense.
Right. They feel guilty, they feel awkward, and as the receiver, you need to signal immediately that the relationship is secure and everything is okay. You simply do not have the time to construct a complex grammatical reassurance.
You can't stand there calculating the present perfect tense of forgiveness.
Precisely.
Yeah.
If you pause for 3 seconds to translate, that silence is interpreted as anger or annoyance.
Wow, yeah. They think you're mad at them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's really no big deal,
Mm.
instantly de-escalates the situation. It shows them you aren't upset. It handles that invisible economy of social friction perfectly without requiring the speaker to invent grammar on the spot.
It functions as a social lubricant. It just keeps the gears of human interaction turning smoothly.
That's a great way to put it.
The text actually provides several other hyper-specific examples that do the exact same thing for daily logistics. For instance, I am already on my way there.
Ah, a classic.
Right. The source notes you deploy this block of sound specifically when you've left the house and are actively traveling to meet someone, or take the phrase, I am totally exhausted after work today. Again, the source highlights the precise emotional state here. Exhausted isn't just tired. It's a strong, definitive word, meaning your battery is at absolute zero.
You have no energy left to go out or do anything else.
Exactly. You're done for the day.
And notice how none of those phrases require you to understand the underlying grammatical mechanics to use them effectively.
Right. You don't dissect them.
No. You do not need to know why the preposition is on my way instead of in my way. You just need to know that the entire phonetic block of sound means I am actively traveling to your location.
It's essentially a conversational Swiss Army knife.
I like that.
Think about it. You don't need to carry around a massive, heavy toolbox filled with specialized wrenches and pliers and 20 different screwdrivers for every possible rare scenario you might encounter in a decade.
That would be exhausting.
Right. But if you have the right multi-tool in your pocket, one that has the blade, the screwdriver, the bottle opener, you are completely prepared for 95% of the actual situations you'll encounter on an average Tuesday. These 99 sentences are the multi-tool.
That metaphor captures the utility perfectly. But having the tool in your pocket is very different from knowing how to flick it open blindly in an emergency.
Oh, for sure.
Which naturally leads us to the methodology the source outlines. If we connect this to the bigger picture, we've established that these conversational tools are highly effective. But how does the author suggest we actually bridge the gap from simply reading the phrase on a page to deploying it instinctively in the real world?
Because merely reading a list of 99 sentences one time isn't going to magically rewire your brain or make you fluent.
It definitely will not. The source requires a very strict physical methodology to achieve this. They call it double practice.
Double practice.
Okay. The instruction is highly explicit. The learner must listen carefully to the phrase, and then they must physically repeat it aloud 2 times.
Not silently reading it, actually speaking it out loud twice.
Exactly. And the why behind this physical repetition is perhaps the most critical insight in the entire methodology. The source explicitly states that this is not just about cognitive memory.
So it's not just the brain doing the work.
No. It's not about your brain remembering the dictionary definition of the words. This double practice is designed to help your mouth remember the words. We are talking about the development of physical muscle memory.
Muscle memory. Okay, I want to linger on this because it totally reframes the problem. We almost universally treat language like it's purely an academic subject, entirely contained within the brain.
We really do.
But speaking is a profound physical act. Your tongue, your lips, your vocal cords, your diaphragm, these are all physical muscles and organs that need to be trained to make shapes, airflows, and sounds they are completely unaccustomed to making.
It's gymnastics.
It is. It's like learning a complex dance routine, but for the inside of your mouth.
That is the biological reality of speech. If you only study a language silently in a textbook, your prefrontal cortex might perfectly understand the definition of the word exhausted. But your jaw and your tongue have never physically navigated the sequence of movements required to produce that specific sound.
They've never actually done the dance.
Right. So when you try to say it out loud during a stressful, fast-paced conversation, your mouth literally stumbles. The physical apparatus lags behind the brain.
Makes total sense.
The double practice method forces the physical muscles of speech to learn the pathway over and over until navigating those syllables is completely effortless.
Okay, I see the logic of the muscle memory, I really do. But here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back hard on this premise on behalf of the listener.
Let's hear it.
If I am only practicing 99 preset phrases, aren't we just training people to be highly efficient parrots?
Ah, the parrot argument.
Yeah. I mean, if I only have 99 sentences in my entire repertoire, aren't I trapped in a very tiny, restrictive conversational box? How do I express my actual personality? How do I tell a complex story or make a joke or debate a nuance? This feels incredibly limiting.
It is a totally valid concern, and it's usually the first objection academics raise.
Yeah.
But let's look closely at what the source material actually promises. The text points out that these specific sentences cover your morning routine, your work environment, your basic feelings, and your standard social interactions.
Okay.
They are not intended to represent the entirety of the English language. Rather, they are designed to form a foundational bridge.
A bridge over that terrible gap of hesitation and translation math we talked about earlier.
Yes. The biggest barrier to achieving fluency is rarely a lack of vocabulary. It is the absolute paralysis caused by translation and the fear of sounding foolish.
Right.
Once these core 99 phrases are mastered to the point of literal muscle memory, that translation barrier is broken forever. You finally experience what it actually feels like to speak without thinking.
That sounds liberating, honestly.
It is. You build incredible momentum and confidence. And once you have that baseline of confidence and you are no longer terrified of opening your mouth, you start actively engaging in real conversations. It is in those real conversations that your vocabulary naturally and organically expands. The 99 sentences just get you onto the playing field.
Oh, I see. It's like learning to improvise jazz.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You absolutely cannot sit down at a piano and invent a brilliant, spontaneous jazz solo if you don't already know the basic chords so well that your hands play them without you even looking at the keys.
Exactly. You have to lock in the fundamentals as muscle memory first.
Right. Once the basic chords are automatic, your brain is freed up to actually be creative. You can't improvise if you're struggling to find middle C.
That captures the progression perfectly. You use the 99 sentences to free up your cognitive load. And that brings us to the final and perhaps most demanding ingredient discussed in the source material, which is the daily mindset required of the learner.
Yeah, I noticed the author is very specific about this. Having the sentences and understanding the physical muscle memory practice isn't enough if the approach is wrong.
Not at all.
The author explicitly warns against treating this like just another passive YouTube tutorial you watch once and then scroll past.
Yes, and I want to quote the source directly here because the phrasing is quite powerful. It states, "Consistency is the only bridge between where you are and where you want to be."
Consistency is the bridge.
The methodology demands that you make these sentences an active part of your daily life. You have to use them, repeat them, and drill them until they feel, quote, as natural as breathing. If you treat it as a passive intellectual exercise, the muscle memory will never form.
As natural as breathing. You know what? I am dropping my skeptic act entirely.
Oh, really? Convert.
I am. I came into this deep dive, tightly gripping my grammar books and my rule charts, but so what does this all mean? The more we unpack this, the more incredibly encouraging this approach becomes.
It really is an optimistic view of learning.
It is, because when you realize that the goal isn't to perfectly memorize a dictionary, it completely changes the emotional landscape of learning a language. It fundamentally takes the pressure off you as the listener. You do not need to stare down the barrel of 5 more years of grueling academic study before you are officially allowed to speak to a native speaker.
You don't need to pass a proficiency test to start connecting with other human beings.
Exactly. As the source beautifully puts it, if you adopt this method, you aren't just learning English anymore, you are living it.
Living it.
It changes your entire relationship with the language. It stops being this massive, intimidating adversary that you have to conquer and memorize, and it becomes a practical, accessible tool that you can actually use today.
It really is a profound paradigm shift. To briefly recap the journey we've taken through this material today, we started by diagnosing the root cause of why we freeze up.
That exhausting translation math.
Right, forced upon us by traditional grammar study. And then we explored the minimalist solution, swapping those overwhelming color-coded grammar books for a streamlined, highly curated list of 99 high-utility phrases.
Our conversational Swiss Army knife that handles everyday logistics and social friction.
Exactly. Then we dug deep into the physical, biological mechanics of fluency.
Hmm.
We emphasize the double practice required to build actual muscle memory in your tongue and vocal cords.
So the words flow automatically, bypassing the prefrontal cortex entirely.
And finally, we highlighted the ultimate key to making the system work, relying on daily consistency to finally break the deeply ingrained habit of translating in your head.
It is a fascinating, highly practical approach to hacking fluency. But before we completely wrap up, I know you always have one last conceptual thread for us to pull on.
I do, yeah. This entire methodology raises an incredibly important question, something for you to ponder as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
We spent all this time analyzing how language learners can use this source's 99 sentences to mimic the effortless flow of fluency. But think about the native speakers in your own life.
Okay.
If achieving true conversational fluency is less about consciously selecting from thousands of individual words and applying complex rules, and much more about internalizing a core set of prepackaged automatic phrases.
Right.
What does that actually say about how native speakers communicate? Are the fluent native speakers around us really brilliantly inventing brand new, highly original sentences all day long?
Oh,
Or, if we are being completely honest with ourselves, are we all just relying on our own subconscious, customized list of 99 sentences to get through the daily grind of life?
oh, wow. That completely reorients how I view everyday conversation. I mean, we might all just be walking around playing the exact same 99 tracks on repeat, just assuming everyone else is a brilliant improviser.
It makes you wonder.
It really does. That is a fantastic thought to end on.